Yes, you can probably imagine I had no idea what video to make this week, so I'm defaulting on the one thing I always can. Books. Hello, my name is Jenna, and today you're watching another WWM Productions video, and today I'm talking about some of my favorite books I've read this year so far, because it's farther along than the middle of the year, but you know what? I've been really busy these past 2 weeks. I haven't really been around. I haven't really had the time to watch anything, so I didn't really have the chance to prepare a good movie, TV show related video for you, so I figured I would do something instead of nothing. I should put a little asterisk next to the word best in this video title because I read a lot of good books this year, but the criteria for this list is mostly just the books that I personally have enjoyed reading the most. So while there are definitely some books I've read this year that are definitely better quality and probably better books, I'm just going off of what makes me happy, so deal with it. So the first book I want to talk about is the book Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that title right. I'm probably not. I have no idea, but this is a adult fantasy book that honestly, the less you know about it is probably the better, and also there's no way I could really give you a good description kind of going into it synopsis, especially one that doesn't spoil anything, so just take my word that it's a very, very good book. I don't even know why I picked this book up to read it. I just thought, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go for it. And it's kind of dense. It's definitely one of those fantasy books where you really have to think, and the writing is very rich, so you have to just really take a moment to digest everything. But it's also a pretty skinny book. I don't think it's over 300 pages. It's 280 or something. It's really not that long, but I just fell in love with this book in a way that I had no idea that I would at all. It is just so wonderfully written, and the story, I finished it and I was like, do I want to live in this book or do I want to be this book? That's honestly how I thought of it, because it was done so well, and it blew my mind, and it just went in so many different places, and I loved the main character, and it's definitely kind of a character study of innocence and the ways that we change throughout our lives and throughout the story. And again, I can't even begin to describe what this book is about, because honestly, just go into it blind. It'll definitely be weird, but it's worth it. But it's about this man who's in this huge house that has an ocean inside of it. There you go. See, it's so strange, but it works. Trust me. And he's really the only one there. There's this one other person that he sees and talks with who is his friend, but for the most part it's just him making observations about his life before a mystery happens and he meets someone new and things start to change, and it's so great, so well written, it's plotted so carefully and just done so well. Again, I don't want to spoil anything because that would be awful. Do not spoil this book for you. It is such a fun ride, and I just loved every second of it once I got into it. It definitely takes a minute to really get into it and be am I enjoying this? Because then you are enjoying it. Okay, book number 2 on this list is The Last True Poets of the Sea by Julia Drake. So The Last True Poets of the Sea is kind of this, it's a contemporary YA with definitely some, maybe a little bit of fantastical elements thrown into it, but for the most part it's just your run-of-the-mill contemporary with no fantasy or action sequences. It follows this girl named Violet who has been essentially shipped off to Maine from her New York City home to live with her uncle for the summer after various things occur with her family, and it's a very rough time for all of them, and they're all dealing with their different struggles and the way that they've all hurt each other. So she's sent off to Maine which was her family's like summer home and place where she has great memories with her younger brother, who recently has been going through some of his own struggles with his mental health, and she's shipped up there and she's trying to kind of rewrite herself and to kind of fade into the background for reasons that the book gets into. She meets various people in the town who impact her in several different ways as she's going to her job at the aquarium that's on the verge of possibly closing because it doesn't have penguins. And she's meeting this girl who is fascinated by the history of this town and whether or not it actually is the truth that people believe in. And she also is trying to find the ship that is at the core of what built this town, essentially, which is something she and her younger brother always wanted to do when they were children. So it's just this story of her going through this summer and the people she meets and how she's changing. It's the story of her summer and how she's changing and the people she meets and her family. And I wasn't sure how much I was going to like this book, but I loved it. I was so happy that I read it because I picked it up, I started reading it, and then I just didn't want to stop. It just made me very happy, and it was written so well. Like, I didn't expect that going into it, but it was like so beautiful, and just the way that it told the story wasn't always the most like direct, like time to time to time. It bounced around a little bit, which was not what I expected, and all of the characters were fantastic, and I loved Violet as a protagonist. She was so interesting, and you can't help but root for her, but also want to know about her past and what she's going to do next, and seeing her try to reconcile who she was and who she wants to be, even though in the beginning who she wants to be isn't really, like, you as the reader can say to her, like, no, don't do this isn't the right decision. So seeing her kind of start to remake herself from the person that she was and who other people believe that she can be, and just her family and then her found family and all of her friends and what this means for all of their futures. It was just a very profoundly moving book that just, first of all, has a great title. If that doesn't draw you in, then I guess that's my responsibility now, but I just adored this book, and the setting in Maine during the summer, that was also really great, and just the town itself of Lyric was, again, just, it's one of those books where you just wish that it would kind of just grab you and pull you inside of it. Like, honestly, like, I want to be in this book. There was just a whimsy to it that made it so wonderful. Even though it was a contemporary book, it definitely had a feel that, like, there's magic somewhere in here. And overall, I just had a great time reading it. It's just a fantastic experience with some good representation as well, which just makes everything better. Book number 3. Oh yeah, I'm bringing back this because I know how to do transitions so well. Is none other than Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. Cemetery Boys follows the main protagonist, Yadriel. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, so I'm sorry about that. If I am pronouncing it wrong, tell me how I should pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce anything. But it follows the main protagonist, Yadriel, as he is trying to uncover the mystery of what happened to a family member who was killed leading up to the Day of the Dead, which his family is a family of Brujek. The men of the family can converse with the dead and help lead them. Well, they can all converse with the dead, they can see spirits, but the men especially are chosen to, like, lead the dead to the afterlife and make sure that they get there safely and that they don't turn into mean spirits and haunt people and possibly hurt other people. And the women are healers, and the main character is kind of fighting for his family's acceptance of him because he's transgender, and he's also trying to unravel this mystery. And the thing that kicks off the book is he's trying to summon the ghost of his family member that died to try and figure out, like, where his body is and everything. and he accidentally summons the wrong ghost, and things ensue, and it's just... I really love this book. It's very cozy. I enjoyed it. There's definitely real world things that happen in it that are very important and that I'm glad are portrayed so well in this book. The author is super great. Their writing just made me very, very happy, and just... this book is just so comforting. It's definitely... I don't want to say it's a simple pleasure because that's not true, but it definitely is. And what more can you want from a book? It had this mystery quest that the characters had to go on. All of the characters are super great and unique in their own way, and I loved the magic in this book and how it was used, and everything just made sense. It was great. The farther along I went into this book, just the more I was sold on it. It just made me happy. That's why it's on this list. It's very good. That's it. Like, just, it's good. Had a really sweet romance in it, and it has everything you really want. And just, again, if the idea of summoning the wrong ghost and then you have to work together doesn't appeal to you, I don't know what will. I'm sorry. That's just how the world works. Next book on the list is Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and I just want to preface this by saying I was not a super big fan, and Harrow the Ninth is the sequel to the adult science fiction book Gideon the Ninth, and that book definitely deserved a lot of praise, and it got a lot of that praise, but just for me, it just didn't really do it for me. I definitely liked a lot of things about that book. I thought the world building was pretty cool, albeit like a lot dense. Probably denser than it should have been. I thought the writing was really good, even if it wasn't my style, and kind of said a lot more than it needed to, and then wound up not saying much at all. And the characters definitely just... and the overall plot itself of these people are summoned from these like 9 different houses to kind of compete against each other to get the chance to become something called a lector, which is one of the most like powerful people in this kind of universe that they have, and they're all necromancers too. So it's pretty cool. Just the first book in the series just really didn't do it for me, and the sequel came out, and I was like, I wasn't gonna read it. Ultimately, I am so glad I just picked this book up on a whim, because, oh my gosh, Harrow the Ninth was so good. It definitely took me a little bit to really, like, get into this book. Like, I'm saying, like, maybe, like, a little less than halfway through until I really started, like, digging this book. But I gotta say, I do not regret it at all. It was an experience. So, you really can't say much about what the plot is because it spoils a lot of the first book in a way that you don't really want to be spoiled. But it picks up with the main character who has succeeded from the first book, and she is now learning to be like the right hand to God. It's essentially kind of how they phrase it, and it's not what you expect at all. You know, they're on a spaceship, they're kind of going amongst places, they're being chased by these essentially unkillable creatures that threaten the fate of the universe, and they're learning all these different things about necromancy. It's a lot. The latter half of this book just goes off, and it doesn't stop. It's so fantastic. Tamsin Muir, if I'm pronouncing your name right, great, but if I'm not, you knew what you were doing, and I'm not gonna lie, I caught on, but I was so satisfied with how you did this book, and just the amount, like, how much did you plot? I have so many questions for you, but the way you pulled this off was so fantastic. I don't know why I'm talking to you specifically, like you're actually watching this video, but I just had the wildest experience with the end of this book in a way that few books have given me that chance, so just, that's why it's on this list. purely because it was a roller coaster and an unforgettable experience. With that, I'm going to leave off this little ramble about some of my favorite books that I've read of this year so far, and just I read so many great books in June, so obviously there are a ton of books that didn't make it onto this list. But if you're interested in more of this content, subscribe, like this video, leave me a comment with things I should make my videos on, because I always need ideas. Like, please tell me things to make videos on, because I make them for you, and also for me, I guess, but mostly for you. And just, we have videos that come out every Sunday, every weekend, depending on the day. It can change a little bit. It's me and my channel partner Ava. We switch off and we create all different types of content. So you should definitely subscribe for more of it if you are interested in that. We also have a podcast that comes out every week as well, where we discuss a recent release film. That's pretty exciting, and you can find that just about anywhere where podcasts are, but the videos are only on YouTube. And we have so many ideas of things to do next with our channel, so you should definitely keep an eye on that. I'm going to leave you to the rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye. Wait, this is like totally the same outfit and shirt that I wore last video, isn't it?